Well, that's not how we thought things would play out. Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at the video games that are iconic for killing off the player character.
I can't move. This is it for me here.
Please try to get up!
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
I'm Todd Habercorn, and I've had to voice many characters and bosses that have tried to bring the player character up to death's doorstep. So rest easy, folks, I've got you covered. Unless you're a player character, then I'm sorry for what I'm about to do.
Let's get ready to Mojo!
Nossus!
Halo Reach.
This is the Pillar of Autumn. We're away. The package is with us.
By the time this prequel came out, we were all used to playing as an unstoppable Spartan. The Master Chief was a take-no-prisoners badass who always saved the day. And even though Halo 3 left him floating in space, he still emerged victorious over his enemies. And, didn't die. That all changed with Reach, though. In this installment, you played as Noble 6, the newcomer to the UNSC Special Ops Unit Noble Team. After fighting through the initial invasion of the Covenant, the game's thrilling climax sees you transporting Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn before dying in a valiant last stand against the enemy. It's a fantastic bridge to the events of Halo and adds incredible emotional depth to the franchise's mythology. Shadow of the Colossus. While the game's ending is rather ambiguous and one that I'm not discovering until right now, the fate of Wander is not. Or at least the fate of adult Wander is not. After taking a girl named Mono to a mysterious land, Wander is tricked into slaying 16 Colossi under the pretense that doing so will revive her. After defeating the final Colossus, Wander becomes possessed by a seemingly evil entity named Dorman, and is eventually sucked into a magical whirlwind that turns him into a horned baby. Holy crap! Yeah, we're just as confused as you. The meaning of this is still being debated, even after all these years. But what we do know is that the Wander we played as is no more. What the baby signifies is up to you. Outlast. With all the harrowing experiences Miles Upshur went through within Mount Massive Asylum, you'd think there would be some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. After seemingly destroying the entity causing all of his problems known as the Wall Rider, things quickly take a turn for the worse when Miles finds himself possessed by said being. Struggling to escape while critically injured, things go from bad to worse as he encounters Dr. Wernickel along with his security forces. The player is helpless as Miles is swiftly gunned down while the screen fades to black? Shit.
God in Himmel. You have become the host.
BioShock Infinite.
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
No. I'm both.
This cloud-jumping, action-festive sequel was a little loosey-goosey with the whole time thing, and as such, the ending is either seen as a stroke of genius or an incomprehensible mess. Kind of like spoken word albums by Crispin Glover. At the end of the game, Booker is drowned in a river to prevent Comstock from ever existing. However, the game has a happier ending than it lets on, as we see a version of Booker from 1893 awaken to the sound of a crying Anna. The Booker we know may be dead, but there exists a Booker out there who never sold his daughter to Comstock. Oh, but think of what he's not gonna buy with all the money he made by selling his daughter. In the 19th century, that's like 10 bags of flour, or like 3 spools of really good fabric to make a long jacket.
You can wait as long as you want. Eventually, you'll give him what he wants.
Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII.
You're gonna live.
While not as groundbreaking as the original, and a whole different kind of beast as far as gameplay was concerned, this prequel had heart in abundance, all thanks to its charming lead. In this PSP title, you play as Zack Fair, a young member of Shinra's private army. Fast forward a few dozen hours, and the climax sees Zack defending series icon Cloud Strife from Shinra's forces in one of the most dramatic sequences in the entire franchise. Despite his valiant effort, Zack is fatally wounded in the battle and gives the famous Buster Sword to Cloud with his dying breath.
My honor. My dreams. They're yours now.
Even though we all knew it was coming, it was still brutally difficult to play through and witness Zack's final moments. Wait a minute, we're talking about dying breaths. Is Zack just code for the PSP system? Sorry, too soon. Persona 3.
Do you remember the promise we all made? Why don't we go there and wait for the others?
Which path will you take? If you kill Ryoji, the Seas lose their memories of the Dark Hour and celebrate graduation, unaware of the approaching apocalypse. If the player spares Ryoji, for the true ending, the silent protagonist defeats Nyx and Seas regains their memories during graduation. This all leads to Aegis and the protagonist sharing a tragically beautiful moment, with Aegis vowing to protect him while he dies in her arms. The screen fades to white, the credits roll, and we all wipe that sneaky tear that had the audacity to roll down our cheeks because we cut onions when we play video games.
I will always be by your side, protecting you.
The Persona stories may be off-the-wall crazy, but they always contain a beating heart at their center, which is clearly evident by this beautifully humane ending. The Walking Dead.
Please don't be one of them. Please don't become a walker.
There's only one thing you can do.
Do we really have to relive this horrible tragedy? Okay, here we go. In the penultimate episode, Lee investigates a walkie-talkie only to become the victim of a sneaky zombie attack. We had over a month to emotionally prepare ourselves for his death, but seeing the weakened Lee dying in front of Clementine still hits us like a freight train. A freight train going at Mach 5. Not only does the ending reinforce the brutal and unforgiving nature of this walker-filled world, but it also reminds us of how video games can have an impact when there are good writers involved. Thank you, writers. It's disappointing to see what happened to Telltale, because coming back to this game just hits us in the feels when we think of all that squandered talent.
Don't go.
Red Dead Redemption.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Even after all these years later, Red Dead Redemption remains the king of surprising and affecting video game deaths. Yes, Red Dead Redemption 2 had Arthur's poignant demise, but at least we had time to process the inevitable. In Red Dead Redemption, we naively held on to hope. Unfortunately, those hopes were squashed with the brutal realization that John was fated to die. The final Deadeye sequence and John's subsequent death are devastating. However, it's also brilliant game design, as it takes away the player's agency and kills off the main character of an open-world game. Way to break our hearts, Rockstar. You owe me tissues. And I'm not talking about one box, I'm talking about the jumbo pack from Costco.
Bury me 'neath the western sky.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.